Hey everyone, you're listening to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. On today's show, Julie and I are discussing ways to age gracefully. She talks about why she let her hair go gray, and we both share tips and tricks for looking younger after age 40. Let's get started. Hey, Julie. Good to see you.
Hey, Marie. How are you?
Good. I am excited today because we got some fun news this weekend. I wanted to share with listeners, and I did post on our Instagram that two of our most loyal listeners, Davis Perigo and Maddie Kaler, are engaged.
Yay, that's so exciting.
I know. Davis is my son, and Maddie will be my daughter-in-law. We're so happy for them, and we're so excited, and it's just a fun time.
Yes, things are changing.
I know.
You've had 2 weddings now within a year, right?
It will have been 2 years since Abigail's wedding. So we'll have had a wedding for Abigail, skipped a Christmas, and then have a wedding for Davis.
Oh,
so
gosh, it seems like that was just last year.
I know.
Yeah.
Abigail and Nick are kind of an old married couple now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of old married couples, we have some really exciting news that I finally get to announce. We're going to be grandparents.
Yay!
Which is a fitting thing for today's subject of going gray.
Oh, it is. It is. Oh, my goodness. That is so awesome. And is it your daughter
and son-in-law are having a baby, and they are due in October. So have a lot to look forward to this year.
Oh, how fun. Do you think that Molly would mind if we shared her adorable announcement in our Insta stories?
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah.
Molly, that was super cute.
Yes, I liked that.
That is so fun. I'm so excited about that. And I know if Mindy was here, she would be screaming with joy right along with us. So Mindy's in Chicago this week. So Julie and I are tackling a subject that we've wanted to bring up on Midlife Matters for a while, going gray.
Embracing the gray.
Julie's going to tell us how she decided to stop coloring her hair, what the process was, and then we're going to be talking about some tips for looking younger after 40. So I think everyone's going to enjoy today's episode. I know this is something that quite a few listeners have asked us about too. Ways that you can be age appropriate in your makeup or your dress, but still look stylish and young, if I could even say that. I mean, of course, we all want to look younger than we are.
But it's also about just kind of accepting the age that you are. I think there's a balance there between fighting it and accepting it.
Right. Yes. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But one of the biggest things that Julie's done to age gracefully is over the past couple of years, I've watched her let her hair color go gray. And this is a subject that's interesting, I think, to women of all ages, because we all think, I wonder what I'll do when I get to that stage. And maybe we're already coloring our hair and we're thinking, well, how long am I going to have to do that? And how does someone kind of gracefully or naturally transition from this, because maybe I don't want to do it my whole life. So I'm looking forward to hearing about this process.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that I realized I got here a lot earlier than I thought. You think,
oh, really?
What am I going to do when I get old? And it's like, I'm here. It just happened sooner than I was expecting. But
yes.
My family, my mom has white hair, and my grandmother went gray when she was in her 20s.
Oh, my
goodness.
So
I think maybe it was just in the genes for me to go gray earlier.
Right. All right. So your family kind of went gray a little earlier. And I know that you've had darker hair your whole life. And I've always heard that people with darker hair tend to notice their gray hair earlier. So how old were you when you noticed your first gray hair? Do you remember?
I don't really remember, but I guess I probably have been coloring my hair since I was maybe 35.
Okay.
But, it was just the stray gray hair. And I thought, got to cover that up. It wasn't a lot.
Okay. So it wasn't like you were 22. I know some people that have dark hair, they start seeing some grays right away.
No, Andrew, my son, is 24 and he has gray hair.
No way.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't ask you this on air, but does he do anything about it?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay.
He might pull him out.
Okay.
That's how you start.
Yes, yes. Well, I guess he's really following that pattern of like your grandmother in her 20s.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be, white-headed anytime soon. But I do think with dark hair, it just shows up. Other
Okay.
people probably have it and they just don't notice it.
Right, right.
You know.
So did your grandmother color her hair in her 20s?
No, I mean, by the time I knew her, it was all white, but pictures I've seen of her, it was just a light gray,
Okay.
But when she was really young, her hair was black.
Oh, wow.
So it was quite a change. But she had really long hair when I knew her, but she never wore it down. She wore it in a French twist in the back.
Oh, okay. I bet
So
she looked
I
very
always
elegant.
loved her hair. Yes,
Yeah.
she did.
And your mom, she has beautiful gray hair. Has she always let that go natural?
No, I was thinking back when we first got married, my mom would have been about 50 and she was still coloring her hair, but she always wore it more blonde. So I
Okay.
don't really remember. She doesn't even remember when she decided to quit coloring. I just don't think it was as drastic.
Okay.
You know.
So you didn't really have anyone to look toward in your family as an example of how to make this transition.
No.
Okay. So you were about 35 when you started coloring your hair. And what happened? Was it 10, 15 years? Like what happened to kind of make you rethinking that?
Well, there were a couple of factors I think that started coming into play that worked on my mind. My daughter had always suggested it. She was like, Mom, you should just let your hair go, just be natural. And I did not even consider that. Totally just dismissed that. I wasn't ready to go there. But one of her best friends, moms, and a lady that I used to hike with, has always had beautiful, long gray hair. Very natural. And Molly always loved that. And I did too. But I just never understood it. I would think, why does she want to be gray at her age? And what I've kind of come to understand since then is, well, maybe she didn't want to be gray, but she is gray. She's just embracing it a lot sooner than I did. I can't say that I would want to be gray, but I am gray. So it's more just about, I think, accepting it. Also, I had a friend in Memphis who started this process maybe a year before I did.
Okay.
And I don't get to spend a lot of time with her, but I did get to go on a trip with her 2 summers ago. So I got to see it up close.
Okay, yes.
And I was asking her questions and she kind of gave me some tips. And I thought, her hair really looks good. I thought maybe I should start to consider this because, hers looks so great. And then finally, I think there was just something about turning 50 that made me see it with a whole new perspective. I asked myself, why am I doing this? Like, I am a middle-aged woman. When my hair was brown, true, it was the color of a 30-year-old, but I kind of didn't feel like that person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I felt old. I don't feel old at all, but I was just kind of tired of pretending I wasn't gray anymore. I was really ready to just be okay with being 50. And I also started to kind of look like, why is it men get to be distinguished when they're gray?
Right.
But women are just letting themselves go.
Right.
I thought that doesn't seem fair. That's not right. I can make this look good. There are a lot of examples out now. I think more so than when maybe our moms were going to go gray because look at Jamie Lee Curtis. I think she has the most beautiful hair. It is kind of trendy right now. I mean, 20-year-olds are coloring their hair gray. Like sometimes from the back, I'll think I'm looking at an older woman and she'll turn around and she's younger than my daughter.
Yes.
I felt like, it's a good time to maybe try this. I'm not going to stick out too bad.
Right. Did you have any hesitations as far as what your husband might think or just other people that were close to you? Yeah,
I mean, when I told John I was going to do it, he was all for it because we've always joked. He always said he likes my hair best when I like it.
Okay.
Because he doesn't like to hear me complain about it. So, but now he does really like it. I would say that I had some friends that were skeptical.
Oh, okay.
I think they're good with it now.
Were they also your age or were they older or younger than you?
Same
age? Okay. And so maybe they thought, I don't know how that would look on me, so I don't know how it would look on you either.
Yeah. Or they would say, my hairdresser says, no, you're not doing that now. Or, they would say, my husband would never let me do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've actually heard my mom mention that over the years that my dad didn't want her to go gray. But yet my dad has a full head of gray hair. So I do see what you're saying about men are allowed to go gray, but oftentimes women feel the pressure to keep it up.
Right. The most resistance I got was from older ladies.
Really?
Who were already gray. They would say, why in the world would you want to do that? I guess they kind of thought, well, this is where I am. You don't have to be here, but I think their generation maybe held off on the gray a little longer. And the more I've talked to them, some ladies at church, they said, well, I colored my hair because my husband asked me to.
Yeah. Interesting.
They cared more about what their husbands thought. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think men in general are probably more accepting of it now, especially since you said, younger women are doing it, and just different hair colors in general are trendy, pink, purple,
right.
blue.
You see pure purple, pink, green. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so why
true.
not gray?
Yeah, it's just another option. So,
right.
My mom was a little unsure at first too, but I think she thinks it looks good now. And my kids were supportive. Of course, my daughter was. She was trying to get me to do it long ago.
So, what was the hardest part about? Did you just start letting it grow?
Well, the first few months were definitely the hardest because I felt like I needed to explain my gray roots to everyone. I really wanted to wear a sign that said, no, I didn't miss my hair appointment. I'm doing this on purpose. Because when you first expose your gray to the world, it's like you're saying out loud, I'm old.
Right.
It's like you're announcing it. So I was pretty self-conscious at first because I did find myself thinking, I wonder what people are thinking. Like, is she just letting herself go?
Yeah.
Does she not care anymore? Because there's just nothing worse than those feelings when you can't get there to get your hair colored and your roots are showing, But I just kind of had to plow through that and not care. Yeah, the way I started was just postponing my next coloring appointment and how long can I go? I even used one of those little coloring sticks that would color your roots. It's like a little pencil.
Yeah.
To kind of, when it was like an inch wide stripe on the top of my head, is I just can't deal with this. So I would do that. And then it got a little longer and a little longer. There were several times I did that, and then I would go back to coloring it. I just couldn't deal with it because it seemed like every time I thought about doing it, there would be some event or something coming up in the near future that I thought, no, I want to look nice for this. So I would go back to coloring.
And did you tell your hairdresser, after you'd maybe gone a little long on your appointment, and I can just imagine you walk into the salon, she's probably like, now, Julie, what are you taking so long to get here for? You clearly need some color. Did she know that you were trying to grow it out?
Yeah, she knew I had considered it. And actually, when I had gone the longest, I had the opportunity to meet this other woman who was a hairdresser of a friend of mine. And she kind of said, oh, I could help you do that. I could help you transition. And so I then switched to her and she kind of helped me through the process.
And your first hairdresser didn't feel like she could really help you transition?
No, I just wasn't talking to her about it. I hadn't really told anybody that this is what I wanted to do yet.
Because I feel like that might almost be like a specialty area. You might need some specialty training or something in helping women move from coloring to gray, because I do think that this will only continue to be a more popular thing to do.
There is kind of a trick to do it because I didn't understand hair color. I thought, I just want to dye my hair gray until it grows out. Well, you can't put lighter color over darker color. You have to take color out. Okay. And I didn't want to necessarily, bleach my hair and become platinum blonde. Right. So there was kind of a slow transition there. So after I'd gone maybe 3 months without coloring, I told my now daughter-in-law that I'm really going to do it. And she said, well, you're going to be right in the middle of this during our wedding.
Okay, so your daughter-in-law and your son were about to get married. Okay.
Yeah, so this was a few months before that. And she wasn't asking it because she was concerned for her sake. She said, I just want you to know this is going to be right. Are you really wanting to do that? And I thought, there's never going to be a time that's going to be good. So I said, you know what? Never going to be easy. I'm just sticking with it this time. So,
well, and I wonder if there was kind of like a mental hurdle to getting to 3 months. It was kind of long enough where you'd made some real progress. Mm-hmm. And you'd gone through a lot of what you said were self-conscious stares and self-conscious feelings of walking around. And you're like, I don't want to have to repeat from square one.
Right. It's kind of like you make it to that point and if you color, you're just going to have to go through that all over again.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to step back again. So I just stuck with it.
Okay.
But it was a little hard too. I noticed that other people suddenly wanted to talk about your hair. It's like when you're pregnant and people want to ask you all kinds of personal questions.
Yes.
They suddenly have this freedom that they didn't have before.
Right.
And they'd ask me questions like, how are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And I heard, wow, you're brave, more than once, which really didn't boost my confidence. Like, brave, that means I'm doing something really out there.
Right.
And it didn't really make sense. I thought, I'm not battling cancer. I'm not going through a tragic situation. Is this really brave?
Yeah.
But it does require some bravery because you are going against the status quo. There is still a little stigma about walking around with gray roots.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Well, and I think like your whole life, it doesn't matter what age you are or what color your hair is. If you're having a good hair day, you feel great. Everything else could be going wrong, but if your hair's looking good, it gives women a boost of self-confidence. So the opposite is also true. If you don't feel like your hair looks good, it doesn't matter how many other things are going right. You feel self-conscious and a little weird.
Yes, weeks and weeks of bad hair days is not really good for your confidence at all.
No. So how long was the overall process? Well, you got through the first 3 months, and then did you just keep going, or was that when you met the woman that was going to help you transition?
Yeah, that's probably when I met Erica, and she said, oh, I can help you through this. So there's basically, you have a couple options when you want to do this. You can go shorter. Yeah, you could totally shave your head and then everything that grows out is gray and you're done.
Well, that's
or
true.
you could cut it shorter and you could go lighter. So she lightened all of my hair and then put in low lights. So she's putting back in my darker original color. I guess kind of like you would do highlights, it's just segments. And that kind of took away that stripe, that definite line of gray. It kind of hid that. And so I just kept doing that maybe every, 6 to 8 weeks. We probably did that 3 or 4 times until it got grown out. And I was still cutting it too. So I was kind of working on both ends. I was covering up the top end and cutting off the bottom end. And some people just let it grow and just cut off the old color, but I just didn't want to. That just seemed like an eternity to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that could be like a 3-year process or something.
So, yeah, I just really wanted to speed this process up as much as possible because weeks and weeks of bad hair days, I didn't want that going on for years,
Yes. In the meantime, has the wedding happened?
Oh, yeah.
And how did your hair look that day?
Yeah, at the wedding, that's when it was all just light. It was all kind of one color. And I remember feeling like, okay, I'm a blonde now. I didn't looked in the mirror and I thought, who is this? I didn't really like that. But, I can always look back at those pictures and say, this is when I went gray.
And you liked it better than the stripe.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone for wedding pictures with a stripe. One good thing is I'm pretty tall. So I used to think, well, maybe nobody can see my stripe up here.
Oh, that's funny.
Had I been short, because I look down on people's heads sometimes and I think, wow, they need to go to the salon.
Right.
So overall, it probably took, it was probably 15 months, maybe. Still.
Wow. I guess once you had switched over to more the blonde, then time I didn't notice all the little changes. So really it's been 15 months and the process is almost complete.
Yeah. Now my hair's pretty short, which I don't like just because I feel like older people tend to just say, I got to cut my hair off. And go gray, and so I feel like I've got the double whammy there. I wish it were longer, so I'm trying to let it grow out. So yes.
So are you glad that you did it now? I mean, I'm assuming that you are.
Yes, I am very happy to be on the other side now.
Okay.
I'm happy with that I did it, and kind of the word that comes to mind when people ask me about it is freedom.
Okay.
It is just so freeing to not have to go sit in that chair for 2 or 3 hours getting my hair colored every month. Right. And actually, I could have gone every 3 weeks. That's how quickly, with my dark hair, that my roots were showing. And, I can't imagine the money that I was spending. I should add that up and just see how much I'm saving. And just free from all the chemicals. And I don't know. It's very nice.
Talk to me a little bit about how you care for gray hair, because I've heard that there's differences. Like, does it tend to, maybe you don't need to shampoo it as much because it's drier or it's straighter? Or is there any difference that you find in how you care for your hair before and how you care for it now?
I just use a shampoo that's violet purple.
Okay.
because apparently that's your hair can tend to go yellowy
Oh.
from sun or build up from a hairspray or even from a heat source can kind of yellow it. I think the sun too. I'm not sure. So the purple neutralizes all that. Careful not to use it too much because I don't want to be the blue hair.
Oh, that's true. Well, do you find that it styles as easily as it did before?
Yeah, I might be kind of lucky on this because I don't feel like I have this coarse, wiry hair. It's the same texture as it was. It styles pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it looks like it styles pretty much the same, but you hear that people, they can't get their gray hair sometimes. You know, you hear of like, oh, my gray hair's sticking this way and the rest of my hair is going the other way.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's like that. I remember like when you'd have that one gray hair, it seemed to like stick out, but I don't feel like it's like that. It seems the same texture to me.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. And how do other people react? How do you feel now? Like, do you still kind of have that self-conscious feeling walking around?
No, I think that other people that were skeptical when I started were surprised at how much they like it now. Especially my friend that was skeptical. I think she realizes that she likes it. And at first, I really did care about what people thought. And I was kind of always looking for some positive reinforcement. But now I really don't need that. I don't care. Like, I'm happy that I did it. And it's kind of been fun because I've had several people now come to me and say, "Oh, you've inspired me. I'm going to do it too."
Yes.
And they've asked me how to do it, and so that's been kind of fun.
Yes.
To be on the other end.
Right. So, what advice would you give to somebody who's wanting to make the transition to gray?
Well, first of all, I would say I don't go around saying that everybody needs to be gray because I'm gray. Like if you're blonde, you may never have to deal with this. It's something that you and Mindy probably won't have to deal with. But I would say if you are considering it, I would say do it because it's just hair. You can always change your mind. Right. You're not doing anything permanent. I mean, with hair, you can always make a change. You can always go back to coloring it. I don't know. And I think if you're 50, it's just a good time in life, maybe to step out and do something a little out of your comfort zone, a little scary, just to, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel good. Okay. Oh, I did it. It was hard, but I did it.
Yes. Can you even imagine sitting back down in that coloring chair right now?
No. I do not. I'm not one that feels like, oh, I'm going to the salon today. I'm going to feel so pampered. To me, it was a chore.
Right.
I just don't sit still very well. So for 2-3 hours sitting there, I just felt like it was a total waste of my time. I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't mind going in for a haircut, 15, 20 minutes. I'm out of there.
Sure.
But yeah, so I don't miss that at all.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, I know that if I do need to transition to gray, I think what your story has inspired to me right now, I just get highlights in my hair. Since I don't color my hair all over one color, I think that as I get gray, it will I'm hoping just sort of fill in. But it has inspired me to just take it as it comes. I mean, your gray hair is going to grow in when it grows in and just kind of embrace it and don't start something that I don't want to continue for like 15 years.
Yeah. And I did ask myself, okay, if I do keep doing this, at what point am I going to stop? Am I going to stay with dark hair till I'm 70? And then, I felt like it was just maybe more natural to do it now than to just make this jump when I really am old. Another thing that I would recommend that my friend in Memphis that was doing this a year before me, she recommended, and it really helped, was she started following this woman on Instagram who was going through that transition.
Oh.
And her hair is probably halfway down her back. She's probably a model, but her hair is gorgeous. And I don't think she's very old. She looked like she might be in her 40s. And her hair kept me going.
Really?
Because it is gorgeous. I mean, and I've seen pictures of her with brown hair, and she is much, much prettier with the gray hair. It's kind of salty, salt and pepper.
What's her Instagram name in case any listeners want to look her up?
Yeah, I think she's maybe Dutch. It's Annika, Annika von Holdt. So ANNIKA VONHOLDT.
Okay. And I'll
That's
also
her
put
name.
her in our
Yeah,
show
we
notes.
put that in there. And then also you can, on Instagram, you can follow hashtags now.
Oh, yeah.
So the hashtag Going Gray Gracefully, hashtag Growing Gray Gracefully is a great one because people just put up pictures through all phases of their transition.
Oh.
So it's encouraging, you can go on there and find somebody who's having just as bad a hair day as you. Or you think, wow, mine doesn't look that bad. And then you can see somebody who's made it through and it's like, that's what it's going to look like.
Yes.
That was very helpful because there weren't that many real people doing that I could look at.
Mm-hmm.
But there are literally thousands if you look on Instagram.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. And we'll definitely put all that information in our show notes for anybody that's interested.
By me doing this and hopefully inspiring other people, I just hope people will see aging naturally can be a respected choice. Like it doesn't mean you're just letting yourself go. It is an option to do this and do it well. And not to have to be ashamed of something that happens naturally. We shouldn't be ashamed that we have gray hair at whatever age it is,
Right. And that is so true. It is hard to embrace the changes that come with getting older, especially in a culture that really just worships youth. So
yes, because the culture, like I said, with men, they are more distinguished, but with women, it's almost like you are to remain young at all cost. Mm-hmm. That's the message that we get. No matter what, you are to remain looking young.
Right.
I mean, look what people are doing to themselves, injecting their lips and filling out all their wrinkles and surgeries. I mean, those things are tempting, but it's like, when does it end? When would you quit?
Right. When would it be okay to look your age? And then I feel like it would be such a drastic difference. One minute you see the person on the street and they look, pretty young. And the next minute they've aged 15 years. That's a big difference.
Well, and also I think just as an example, like with my dark hair, I felt like my dark hair didn't necessarily match the age of my face anymore. Like, okay, I have some wrinkles. Like it just didn't match. From the back, you might think, oh, that's a 35-year-old woman. I turn around and it's like, no, she's not. So it just didn't match. And I certainly wouldn't want to be trying to do that at 70, you know?
Yes, we want to age gracefully. And I think going gray gracefully is definitely one of those big ways we can do that. But we were trying to think of some other ways that we can age gracefully. And I found this article online, and I don't know if it's just an online magazine. It says it's called Best Life Online, but it had 40 ways to look younger after 40. Look your best every day with minimal effort. And minimal effort is right up my alley. Doesn't matter.
And I agree. I think that going gray is a way of accepting my age, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to fight it in other areas that are appropriate,
Yes. So we'll put a link to this article for any listeners that want to read it, but we kind of just each picked out some different things that spoke to us in the article, things that we do try to do. What's something that appealed to you in that article, Julie? What's something that stuck out to you as, oh, I already do this, or I want to do it?
Kind of going along with the hair, I felt like I needed to maybe change my makeup.
Okay.
And everything I've read is less makeup the older you get is better, which is not the way everybody goes.
Right.
Sometimes you see a lot more. It's like you're just accentuating your flaws and wrinkles when you have a lot of makeup built up on your face. I still need makeup because I have a lot of skin irregularities and discolorations and stuff. So I'm going to smooth and even that out. But I've read a lot, like you don't really need to wear eyeshadow if you don't want to, like eyeliner and mascara and some good lipstick and moisturizer. I don't know that I'll go too much less, but I'm certainly not going to go more.
And one of the things I try to do is like, if I'm not going to be seeing anybody, I put that in quotes, like anybody that I care about. Like if my day is mostly consisting of doing errands and running my kids around to practice, and I'm not actually like meeting with and talking with anyone, I call that like my makeup free day. And I really feel like that's probably good for my skin. Like I'm just not going to put anything but some moisturizer on it in the morning. And that's it. I love those days the best. But I know I don't look my best on those days. But I do that too.
And I used to wouldn't have done that. But now it's funny because now that I probably don't need to do it is when I feel free to do it.
Yeah.
And inevitably I run into somebody I know at the grocery.
Well, that's true.
And they probably think, wow, Julie's really let herself go.
Well, one of the things going along with makeup that I was thinking about, having teenage daughters in the house, I can always pick up on things. And I don't know if all our listeners out there are aware of or pay attention to the trends in eyebrows. But my kids really have shown me that, you know how when I was in my 20s, it was really popular to like pluck your eyebrows down to like the smallest line possible. And if you look at pictures today, the eyebrows are much fuller. And I think add to a younger appearance too.
Yeah. And I think when you look at a lot of older ladies, I mean, significantly older, you'll see tiny little eyebrows. And I think that does age them because that's a trend you could keep up with.
One of the byproducts of having plucked for years and years is that your eyebrows don't tend to naturally grow in as thick, even if you did let them go. But they have such great pencils, like not just the pencil, like, you know, go to the drugstore, you get like that one that barely sharpens and it looks so fake. But if you go to Sephora or Ulta, they'll really help you find a shade that actually matches your natural color. And then they'll really show you, you're not really like drawing a big line across your face. You're like painting
little hairs.
Yes, you're doing little hair strokes and you can really make it look natural. If you're at the mall, you can go right into Sephora and say, hey, can you do my eyebrows? They'll do them right for you right there. Like it'll take like 10 minutes and they'll show you what they use. I do think that does help people to look a little bit younger in the makeup department.
Yeah.
Now I'll have to continue to keep up with that though, because just like anything, you know, I might start out doing that in my 40s and think, oh, big eyebrows are in now till I'm 80, when probably it'll change again and thin eyebrows will come back in.
And I think we tend to stick to trends that were popular when we were a certain age, like when we thought we looked our best.
Right.
And so I notice when I go clothes shopping or whatever, or even haircuts, like I'm always looking for that one, you know, that what I looked like then. And I'm not finding this. Right. I'm not finding those clothes. Nobody's wearing their hair like that, but I still think it looks good.
Yes.
So I do think it's important if you don't have anybody in your house, if you don't have teenage daughters, to talk to people, look at what other people are doing, get advice, you know.
Yes, definitely. What's something else that you saw in that article?
Well, one thing that I wish that I had done, and I tell my daughter all the time because she has beautiful skin, is don't get in the sun, don't tan, especially don't burn. You know, I wish that I had worn sunscreen. I just didn't. So I do now. I don't know how much good it's doing.
I'm sure it's still doing some good.
I mean, so I would have saved my skin, you know, because I have a lot of sun damage and not as much as I could have.
I really do think that's a generational thing. I can remember, you know, you would just put like tanning oil on your body and just lay out there and let the sun bake you. One of the things that stuck out to me was whitening your teeth. In the article, it talks about that. And a few years ago, I asked my dentist what the options were for that. And I don't know if people listening might be interested in this, but you can actually have your dentist make a little plastic tray for your teeth. And it's a mold. I think it was about $99. And then you can buy different levels of whitening agent right at the dentist. And they show you how to put it in there. I think it's better than like Crest white strips or something like that, because it's actually a mold made for your teeth. So the agent is actually going around each of your teeth the way it would.
Right. Staying on their tooth better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I've done that.
Yeah. And so what I do is like I just got my teeth cleaned yesterday. So now, you know, 4 or 5 times over the next 2 weeks, I will put that in for an hour before I go to bed. And then I don't do it again then until the next 6 months. And I think it does really help. I mean, my kids have even said to me, and I go by a lot by what my teenagers say, but they'll be like, Mom, how come your teeth are so white? Like, so I feel like it does work. And so it may be something at your next checkup you want to inquire about. It's not a drastic change. It's more like just a lightening process.
Yeah, it definitely works. And I found that I did it real intensely the first time I did it.
Yes.
And then it doesn't take nearly as much. You know, if you do it again in 6 months, I might just do it 1 or 2 days. It doesn't take as much.
Right. Yeah.
The next time.
Yeah.
And it's not that expensive. I have used way less of the whitening agent than they said. Like it's lasted me for much longer than it was predicted to last.
What's another tip that you saw?
One thing I saw was to revamp your wardrobe. And one of the things was to wear clothing that fits properly. I think a lot of times we think that maybe we shouldn't wear tighter clothing or because we're older. And I'm not saying inappropriately tight clothing,
right.
but like skinny jeans or things that are fitted to show your size. Like I think sometimes if you wear something big and baggy, you look bigger.
Right.
Yeah, revamping your wardrobe, wearing things that fit, trying to kind of stay current without trying too hard to look like your teenage daughter. Pinterest is a great source. Follow that. I've done Stitch Fix once. Have you ever done that?
I haven't. It's something I've thought about trying, though.
It's kind of fun because you can send it all back. Yeah, it was fun. I actually kept everything.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And I really do hate clothes shopping. Like, I've never been one that just can't wait to go out to do clothes shopping.
You have to spend a little time creating a board on Pinterest so that they know what you like.
Right.
And they totally sent age appropriate things, like really nice things.
One of the things that I saw on there was just getting a proper amount of sleep. And I'm always trying to get a proper amount of sleep. I know that at this age, midlife, a lot of us wake up in the middle of the night. We can't get back to sleep. There's a lot of things that interfere with our sleep. But I think just the biggest tip that I have that works for me is just going to bed at a similar time every night, waking up at a similar time every morning, and just trying. Overall, I think over time, it does work. There are still nights that I wake up in the middle of the night and cannot get back to sleep. But just trying to have that habit. It's so tempting when you've been doing stuff all day to just stay up as late as possible. Everyone else is finally sleeping and you can do those projects that you want to do. It is really tempting.
Yeah, I do stay up late. Probably later than I should, but I don't have trouble sleeping. So I feel really blessed there. When I go to sleep as soon as my head hits the pillow and wake up the next morning. So
that is amazing.
I hope that doesn't change.
I don't think it will. I mean, if you're to this point and you don't have trouble sleeping, then I would think that you're past that stage. Like if you were ever going to have trouble, I feel like it would have been before now.
Yeah, I hope so. Because my husband does have trouble.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Yeah. He has trouble falling asleep. He wakes up in the middle of the night. He'll get up, go on the couch. He'll read. And I notice that's going on, but it doesn't, it doesn't keep me awake. It doesn't make it hard to go back to sleep or anything.
Wow. Lucky.
So, yes, I do feel really lucky in that area because I know the one or two nights that I don't get sleep, I think, how do people deal with this? It's just so miserable.
Right. What's another tip that stuck out to you?
This is not about the outside, but the inside. So I'm really preaching to myself here. Was less negativity. Really a hard one because I think as you get old, you do tend to focus on the negative, or you can, and there is more to focus on. Time that you could become fearful or depressed or over things. So that's something I have to fight. But I think that's never very attractive.
Right.
And I just don't want to be that way, but I do have to fight that.
Being around positive people too helps that. Sometimes if you're by yourself a lot, negative thoughts can come in a lot easier than if you get out and get around other people.
Right, because you have so much time on your hands and you just start dwelling on those thoughts. And I know that can be hard for older people who don't have people around them, as much. But you just have to, I know I read somewhere, it said, if you think about it, aging starts when you're young. And it just continues until you do get older. So why not begin the process of aging now when you're young to stay engaged with people, commit to stay engaged with people and activities that are going to keep you young. And then you don't just suddenly get old. You don't get old. It is a gradual process. Yeah. So you just have to commit to doing things that are going to slow that process down. Like keep exploring, keep setting goals, keep learning, keep growing, be willing to have fun. I think that willingness goes away sometimes. Like a lot of older people say no to things, that opportunities that come their way because they're afraid. I don't think it's something we can isolate ourselves from. It's going to come. It's just what we do with it. Fear is contagious.
That's true.
And, but I think so is courage. So be around people that are doing courageous things. Yeah. So I think that almost has more to do with aging gracefully than even the external.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is a totally external one, but it really stuck out to me. It was buy a properly fitted bra. And the article says, listen up, ladies, because this one is a biggie. As time goes on, it's easy to start caring less and less about how well your bra fits. But if you have a properly fitting bra, you get an instant lift and you also have a more youthful shape, and it totally changes how you look in your clothes. And I do think that even though that seems very superficial, it does make a difference. Just be aware of like, have I had this bra for 15 years? Okay, I should probably replace it. Or when I stand at the side, am I just like sagging, or do I have a little bit of a lift? Because get out there and see what you can find. Yes. Because it can
let us know.
Yes, because it can really age you.
Okay, this one's kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
But one of the recommended things was keep it trimmed. And it was talking about like hair.
Oh, okay.
And it's so funny. I went on a trip once with my friend Janet, and we were staying in the same room. And when she travels, she brings one of those lighted makeup mirrors, the little round.
Okay.
So I used it because the bathroom mirror wasn't that great, and my eyes were opened. This had like a 10 power mirror on it.
I hate those mirrors.
I thought, okay, every pore I had looked like a crater. I had hairs on my chin.
Oh no.
Sticking out willy-nilly. And all I could think of was, okay, I work with the youth. They have seen all of this because my eyesight is not good anymore. And I just, in a regular mirror, couldn't even see it.
Oh my goodness.
So before class, every Sunday morning, I had to make sure I went in there.
That is too funny.
And when I called my friend Janet, because I think I paid about $100 for this mirror.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, when I first looked into it, I thought, I cannot believe I've just paid $100 to see this. Like,
right.
It was kind of catch-22. Like, do I want to see this?
Yes.
Or do I need to see this? I think I need to see it.
Oh my goodness. No, that's true, because like, I feel like I definitely look at my mirror in the bathroom. I even have the blinds open, but then I'll get in my car and, you look in your car and it's like that natural light shining in. You're like, oh my goodness.
Well, wait till your eyesight goes blurry. Because I don't wear my glasses. They're just mainly for reading or TV watching. So I don't have them on when I'm putting makeup on. You really can't do that. I just realized how much I was missing unless I use that mirror.
Maybe we need to put a link to the 100 power mirror in our show notes.
It's a wonderful thing.
All right, let's do just a couple more. And this is a real easy one for everyone, but flash a smile. I know sometimes I will catch a glimpse of myself, like if I'm out shopping and maybe you'll pass by a full length mirror and I'm like, oh my goodness, who is that dowager? Why do I look so unhappy? I'm not unhappy, but I'm just not looking pleasant.
And when I'm not smiling, my mouth kind of turns down naturally. So I have people say like, what's wrong? Or why are you not smiling? And it's really just my natural position of my mouth. So yeah, I do think about that. I try to smile a lot.
I try not to just walk around smiling at nothing, but maybe just being a little bit more aware.
Yeah. And another thing I think is really important is to exercise. And this is something that I've always been really active and athletic, but until the last 4 or 5 years have I started exercising.
Okay.
I still work out with a personal trainer, not necessary, but it is for me to be consistent with it. And that's really the highlight of my week. And I think that has made it easier to go gray. Like if I were kind of sluggish and couldn't get out of a chair and, got winded on the steps and then was gray, I'd really be feeling old. But I don't feel old.
Yes. And I just want you to tell listeners, because you told me this the other day, there are birthday workouts at Julie's trainer that she goes to once a week. And on your birthday, tell me some of the amazing things you had to do.
Well, she has you do probably, I think my last one was 15 different sets of things. You'll do your age in reps.
Okay.
So 53 squats, 53 whatever.
Well, you said like 53 burpees, which made me want to cry because I don't even want to do 5.
And she doesn't have you necessarily doing all 53. Just sit down and do 53. It's through the workout. Rowing, it might be a 500-meter row. It might be a half a mile run. Everything's in that proportion, that ratio. So yeah, it's exhausting, but she goes, that's what keeps you young.
Well, I know. And like, I think I could feel kind of pretty bummed about my birthday. Not bummed, but you know what? You're turning 53. You're not exactly like when you're 10, shouting it to the rooftops. But you go and you find that you can do all that physical activity. I'm sure it's a huge boost.
Yeah. My trainer will say, Julie, do you realize what you're able to do?
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I think all these tips are ways that we can feel younger, because I know that I want to age in a way that makes aging look pleasant.
Yeah. I know that the girl that I work out with, the friend that I work out, we both go at the same time. She is about 7 or 8 years older than me. And she's doing the same thing I'm doing. So it's just really cool to see like, oh, I could still be doing this at that age.
Yes. And you would never know that she's 7 or 8 years older than you.
No, I think she just turned 60 and she's doing the exact same thing I'm doing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, listeners, we would love to hear your tips for aging gracefully, or if you have tried going gray gracefully, or if you're working out with a personal trainer at this point in your life and have progressed, or just whatever you're doing to fight off aging, we would love to hear. And I'd also love any pictures, because we would be happy to post them and inspire other people.
Oh, yeah. Love to see some hair pictures. And
yes. I'm sure there's a lot of great hashtags out there that we could search just to even get inspiration.
Also, I noticed that I've found myself lately, probably because I'm looking at people's hair more than I have been, like sitting in an airport or at a restaurant or in the mall. I just have noticed older ladies more. I'm just looking at them, paying more attention to them. I'll just find something that I think, wow, that person is so beautiful. Like, look at their eyes, or and then I kind of step back and look at them, and there's nothing that would say supermodel, celebrity, like they're just very average and plain. But I just think, oh, wow, look how beautiful they are. Like even their hands, and they might be kind of wrinkledy and spotted, and I just know that I'm just kind of seeing beauty in a different way. And it's that just probably makes me sound old. But things that when you're 20, you were like, oh, I don't want to get there. But now that I'm there, I think, wow, like when you look at an older lady's hands, I think, well, look at all the meals those hands have prepared, or all the babies' diapers they've changed, or babies they've rocked. Yeah, it just makes their aged, weathered hands look more beautiful, knowing how they got that way, and just the wrinkles around their eyes. Like that doesn't seem unattractive to me anymore. I read this quote. I don't know who said it. It may be a famous quote. You may have heard it, but it said, there's a certain age when a woman must be beautiful to be loved. And then there comes a time when she must be loved to be beautiful. Oh. And I just loved that quote, because I think that's kind of what makes people attractive, is like seeing them, like seeing an older woman with her daughter or her grandchildren or her own mother or friends. It's that interaction of giving, sharing what you have with others that makes you beautiful, not the outside. But yet, I don't know, I feel like even some of those things that are signs of age, like wrinkles and age spots and all, those can be beautiful too.
Yes.
Especially, it's kind of a weird thing.
Especially to the people that love you. I think about my grandmothers. I've never looked at my grandmothers and thought, oh, gross, they have wrinkles. Like, no. I remember wanting to rub their skin. And what you said, like, if you love that person, they're beautiful to you.
Yeah, yeah. Like my grandmother with the long white hair. I told you she always wore it up, but she had these little hairpins that she would put it up with. And at night, I would spend the night over there a lot. I love to spend the night with her. She would let her hair down and I would just brush it.
Oh, how nice.
And they'd make all these weird styles with it. And she was so patient. That would drive me crazy, but she just let me do whatever. And that's probably my most favorite memory of that grandmother,
Yes. So,
and even my own mom, like she has beautiful hair. She actually probably has less wrinkles than I do. She's 83. Yes. But, she's beautiful to me.
Oh, yes. Well, your mom is beautiful. Yeah. I mean, you have good genes. Yeah. Well, this was fun. This is a topic that we don't always like to talk about, but it is fun to look at also. And I hope this was inspiring to people.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Thanks for being willing to share your story. Definitely for
sure.
listeners, we will put some pictures of maybe the process for Julie, maybe some of the in-between times. Let us know if you've also gone through this process because it's really a big deal and we should celebrate it.
Yeah, and it just makes it easier to go through it with somebody else. So we'd love to see how you did it or how you are doing it.
And Mindy, we missed you. We hope you're having fun and we'll be back with you next week.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
All right. We'll see you later, Julie.
Okay, goodbye, Marie.
All right, bye. Friends, we're so glad you joined us today. If you enjoy Midlife Matters, we hope you'll tell a friend. Show them how to find us on their phone and hit the free subscribe button so that they never miss an episode. They can also download and listen to each episode right from our website, midlifematterspodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Midlife Matters Podcast. You can also email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday. Bye.